Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Paranormal Karen, funny too. Paranormal Karen, she's so spooky. Oh, and did I mention she's funny too? Yeah, cha-cha-cha.
All right. Welcome to Paranormal Karen, everybody. It is June. Check out my new website, sign up for my email list, say when my show is coming your way. Join the Patreon. Also, I have a new thing on my, since I'm kind of a nomad, if you have a venue and you want to book the psychic stand-up show, there is a little place where you could say, I would like to book this show. And if I am in your area, we will make it work. Maybe it's a huge theater. Maybe it's a tiny one. I don't know. Let's at least negotiate and see if it fits into my map. All right, everybody. Today, my friend, so many things, podcaster, paranormal writer, curious of all things, Leslie Fear is here. How are you, Leslie?
Hi, Karen. I am fantastic. It's good to talk to you again.
And I love that you're in your new Austin home. Not Austin.
It is. It's in North Texas. We're about a county, one county south of Oklahoma. And girl, 35 acres and a little ranch house. And I'm telling you what, I can breathe out here. It's really nice.
I know. And you know what? It's kind of nice to be up that high because isn't it most of the water problems and everything come to lower Texas or no?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, let's be honest. Texas should be 3 different states. I mean, you can fit the entire UK in the state of Texas and still have room on each side.
Wow.
That's how big Texas is. So, and when Europeans come here, or especially people from Great Britain come here and they're like, we had no idea it was this big here. I don't think we understood that until they get here because they're like, you measure like distance in hours and we don't measure it in miles. We measure, that takes an hour. That takes an hour and a half or it takes 15 or whatever. I never say it's going to be 668 miles. Nobody does that here. It's always, it's so funny.
That is funny because, people don't realize, well, like my LA friends do not realize how small Utica is. Like the other day I called my friend and I was like, I'm walking to my gig. And he's like, you're walking to your gig? And I'm like, yeah, it's 5 minutes away. And he's like, what? And it's like, I live in Utica where there are 5 bars and they are all around my house. And that's where all the shows go down. But we forget because in LA, whenever someone asks you to go somewhere, you add on an extra hour. And here I'm like, everything's 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
But, that's funny because the only thing when I worked at the Australian Paranormal Convention years ago, the only thing I really had seen was Wolf Creek, which is a horror movie. It's a crazy horror movie, but I think it's based on something true. And you don't realize Australia has so much uninhabited, like there's nobody living out in the middle. Like it is, you could get on the wrong road and just be nowhere.
Oh yeah, I mean you're in the desert because it's all the outlying areas of Australia that are inhabited around the edges and the ocean and all that. In the middle, no, only indigenous people live there, and they don't even probably survive very well anymore. It's just all desert.
Have you ever heard of? See, they keep everybody's talking about the Adirondack Mountains, which some of them are up here. Some of them are up here. And I think they're always talking about stuff. But in North Carolina, there are places that you don't go because there are a lot of, I'll just say it, inbred families that are decades and decades that like, they'll just shoot you or they'll just like, they're like, you don't go there. And maybe someone from North Carolina can send me an email on this because I know that I've been there and they were like, yeah, you don't want to be a tourist or get lost up there. Where it might be like nobody goes, the police don't go, they've just lived up there. That's what it is. Like, it sounds really kind of crazy.
Yeah. I think I've seen like a TikTok when they did something on a family that they had a blue tint to them.
Mm-hmm. I think I saw that. Right? They had incested so many times there was blue tint to their skin. Yeah.
It was, yeah. So, yeah, I don't think I'd go there either, Karen. I'd steer clear of that.
That to me is more of a fear I guess maybe it depends what your skin color is, but to me, I always feel safe in a city. And I know some people like, no, there's crime. And I'm like, if you're asking me about walking in Utica, I live on a street where there never isn't cars. There isn't, I could run in front of a car if there was a problem. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
but I love the fact that Utica is so haunted, and then you can make all these fun videos in front of some of these places. And, eventually maybe you can do some investigating where you are. But I know you're going to go on a trip this summer and maybe go to the Lizzie Borden house.
Yeah, I was thinking of that. I contacted two different friends, and we're looking at just spending the night there. But it's really expensive. I'm amazed how expensive it got.
Really?
But that house, if you ever get a chance to visit there, they had no hallways.
Oh, I know.
It was room to room, which is so bizarre.
Yeah, and you had to go to one room to get to another room. And it's not that big of a house either. It looks like it'd be bigger, but it's tiny.
I don't know if the guy still owns it, but the guy that owned it the first time I went on a tour, he was the spitting image of her father.
What?
He looked exact, and he would lead tours as her father. And then he was like, and if you're really good, they would get fake blood and he would lay on the couch. Like,
are you serious?
Oh, they're the greatest. I mean, I don't know if those are the same people that still own it, but they made it. He brought us on a tour not as her. It was so good. I recommend that to anybody in that area, and it's not a dangerous haunting.
That is wild, but you got to remember, you're stirring up some stuff there,
I think it's sort of become I think there's an agreement there. I think every once in a while when you get an agreement, and they owned it for a very long time. And I think, because also the only time really weird stuff has happened has been when people rent it and stay overnight. And it's been very rare. So it's kind of, there's a little activity, but it's almost like I always said about the tunnels in Portland is the ones where they're bringing the tours through and going through every day. Those spirits that are used to it are kind of like, okay. And the other ones just kind of fade away. They're like, I don't want anything to do with that. So when I was in the parts of the tunnel that had not been on the tour, holy crap, they were like virgin areas. So I think there's probably also a care for the house. Also, a lot of people don't know, Lizzie Borden was acquitted.
Oh no, she was. And honestly, I'm starting to think she didn't do it.
I think she didn't do it. There's a lot of strange stuff that never made it into the story. Like I think
her mother's brother had maybe something to do with it.
Yes, and there was also kind of a serial killer around at that time.
Yes, I know. So that helped her. So and then she bought a house that was like really big and beautiful, several blocks down, or I don't know how many streets down, or maybe it was even further than that. And and they call it some house. They used to name houses back then. Mm-hmm. And I think her spirit is there more than it ever would be at the Lizzie Borden house. Maybe you look into that place,
Yeah, I wonder if somebody owns that. Yeah, that's like we named my house. I'm in the black mold house. That's what we call this. You know what else I loved about that story? He's telling us the story, and he's telling how she moved into a bigger place and started entertaining with some unsavory characters like actors and comedians. And I was
very unsavory.
I loved that. I was like, oh man, I think I'd be hanging out with Lizzie.
Right? I mean, and hey, it fits, I tell you. So,
and her and I have the same sewing machine. I know that's weird, but we have the same sewing machine. So hopefully that one's going to get, I would have to put that right in the first 2 weeks of June. I haven't even moved on it. I've sort of been looking at the big picture, but that hopefully, and if my friend Dave Schrader ever goes back to Count Dracula's castle.
Ooh.
Yeah. The real one.
Well, yeah. Well, I heard that Paul Jasek is back at the Queen Mary, correct?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And he looks so good, and he looks like he belongs there.
He loved the job. I remember interviewing him on my podcast, and he said for years he worked there, and I was so enmeshed in his story about the place. And well, he knows it backwards and forwards. So I think it's just part of him. It's in his soul, man. It's in his blood.
Yes, exactly. So, yeah, so all that is there. And yeah, do you ever go around? There must be stuff in your area that's pretty haunted. Is there anything around you?
Well, there's indigenous kind of stuff going on here because
Okay,
you're close to
your phone just got a little poopy.
oh, sorry.
That's
Oh,
okay.
sorry. Is
Okay.
this better? Okay.
Yeah, it just
There's
yeah, go ahead.
sorry. I may have hit the mic. There's indigenous stuff around the area, with Native American battles here and there. There are some old cemeteries, but to me, spirits don't really hang around cemeteries. To me, we're like walking cemeteries. We have spirits always around us.
Mhm.
They don't go to places that, no one's around. Like I think some of the most haunted places, from what I understand, are hospitals.
Yeah, and insane asylums big time. And
Yeah.
also, I think that I feel like sometimes cemeteries are haunted by more icky stuff than humans because of the amount of
Mhm.
sorrow that people have a funeral and they go there and they cry
Yeah,
and they're so
that's true.
it can get a little icky, a little crypto-y, stuff like that. Um, Hey, I'm going to take a quick left turn on our conversation
Yeah.
because have you done much investigating? I think this is the most fascinating thing ever. The missing 411 or the missing 411 hunters.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think that I just was talking to Ryan about it. I think that's spreading to the cities.
Really?
Yeah, there he was talking about a case where Riley somebody went missing. He went missing. And
Okay.
the guy that does first of all, everyone, if you haven't seen the missing 411 hunting, it's the one about the hunters and it's fantastic. Derek Condit
Mhm.
was on a few weeks earlier and he talks about how it happens. And it's very interesting how he describes it. And it's not good. It's not like, oh, they just, it's like, do they go to
Yeah.
the next dimension and then they continue just with a different timeline? And he's like, nah, that's not what happens. But, the hunters who've been hunting in the woods all this time, all their lives, just you could be 20 feet away and you turn around and that one's gone. Just gone. Gone.
Wow.
And they never find them. And then weeks later, areas that they had looked over and over, they'll find their clothes folded and their shoes out and like a hot coffee cup. Like what? How?
What?
Makes no sense. This happens all the time, and it happens in national parks a lot.
It makes you wonder if that's, well, first of all, I think that has to do with some kind of other dimension.
Derek describes it as like an overlay, that an overlay comes on, and then you're sort of stuck in that liminal space.
Okay. Okay. Or it could just be really nice fairies.
Yeah.
I mean, or whatever, I mean,
Yeah,
there's been stranger things.
Yes, there was only one person that sort of went missing and came back, and it was a little girl. And the little girl thought she popped up on a different mountain, like 20 miles away, where
Okay. Yeah.
in like an hour. It was like one of those. No, that didn't happen. And
Could that be a time slip? Do you think?
she said a giant dog took her there.
Oh, that was Bigfoot. Okay. That was Bigfoot, I think.
I don't know if it was Bigfoot or a fairy or a dog man or a what, but she's the only one that they kind of found that had any information at all. Like there's nobody else. But I remember when he was on some of his other 411s. Some of them aren't, but the one about hunters was a well put together movie. The other ones could be a little slower, but he said this was years ago. It was starting to happen in bars, people stumbling out of bars drunk and disappearing. And so I think we're there.
Well, I think it could be anything. It could be alien abductions. I mean, and I sound so woo-woo when I talk like this because I think at this point in the world, anything's possible.
I do too.
So, I mean, I don't want to scare everybody, but I do think that to a certain point, I think we come here and we do have like soul understandings about certain things that maybe our human brains don't understand, but maybe our souls do. And I think we've been down here enough times that we just get it, even if we don't comprehend it at the time. So I'm wondering if that's what's going on, and maybe Bigfoot does something, or maybe a alien, or maybe it is fairies doing little tricks here and there. I think that's possible too.
Well, you know what else? I feel like so I'm now people that are 100% on the you create your own reality. I'm backing off on that a little bit. I'm going certain things we can do that. I think it can be a little there's kids starving in Africa. So go tell them they're not manifesting the right reality. You know what I mean? Like there's kind of so I'm not 100% on board, but I don't think it's untrue. I think it's all true, but I'm backing off a little bit. And
and the way I understand it, though, Karen, and a lot of people are like, well, you're victim blaming. And let me just tell you what I think kind of goes on. I think we come here and I may say, I want to know what it's like to be an African child starving in the
right. I want to experience
desert.
Pain.
I want to experience that. And don't get me wrong, nobody would say that in their right mind as a human. But if you were in the state of coming back, reincarnation, and you're like, I really want to learn this, whatever lesson it would be for that particular circumstance, I'm sure Source would go, are you sure you want to do that? Yeah, well, why not? Let's do that. But I want to get my PhD for you, whatever the heck you do. I don't even know. But,
right.
But you can't. And so, but I also think that we create our own realities. I'm talking barring depression or all the other things. I can wake up in the middle of the night and have a stomach ache or whatever and feel like crap, right? And I can go take care of it and then just try to talk myself out of it. And I've done that so many times here or there, whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. You create your own reality. Like you can create, I'm not sad anymore. I can't look at it this way. I think that's part of it too. I think there's so many circumstances and gray areas that tie into all that,
Yes. And the gray areas are why I'm not 100% on board, because I also feel like creating your own reality is very easy for entitled white people.
Oh, totally agree with you there too. No, I do. I totally agree with you there. I absolutely do. And that problem is it translates into politics and all the wealthy and all that stuff. So I get that. Yeah.
And I still see that and this is what this is where I kind of differ is somebody could say, I'm just not partaking in this COVID thing. So I didn't get COVID. Yeah. And I would say, yeah, but your store is still shut and you're still locked down and everybody around you is still participating in it. So this, if I ignore it, it didn't happen. There's still a bigger force, and we don't have to say there's a duality, there's a good and evil, not at all. You don't have to say that, even though I do believe there's kind of something like that, but the government is still oppressing us.
Well, you bring a good point though, because I know that, you and I, y'all, she was on my podcast yesterday. It's going to air later this month. We're talking in April.
And then this
way.
One's on in July.
Or July. Yeah, it's okay. Because you do it way ahead of time. And I totally get it because I do mine about a month ahead of time. So I totally get it. I don't want to be strapped down to that. And I can't remember where I was going with this, but
I can. You know what? As a matter of fact, let me take a break and you take a breather and we'll come back. Okay, right back, folks.
Hi, I'm Becca. I'm an energy healer. In a session, I use intuition and conversation to help people remove blocks and allow healing of all kinds to happen. I help people with things like relationships, making sense of their awakening process, or beginning to heal a chronic illness. My favorite thing to do is help people remember who they are. I also do intuitive nutritional counseling, which combines my experience as a nutritional therapy practitioner with my intuition to help you heal your energy related to food. I do sessions over the phone or on Zoom. If you go to my website and feel a little buzz of resonance, I know a session will be beneficial. Check it out by going to regenerativelife.farm.com and click on the Energy Healing tab, because I'm also a regenerative farmer. That's regenerativelife.farm.com/energy-healing. Remember who you are.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay, now we're on.
Okay.
Now we're on. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So we were talking about demons, and you and I differ, but not in a bad way. It's just, I think it's a matter of attraction. I also, it's a matter of vibrational matching, because when you go on your paranormal investigations, you are drawn more toward not so light. They know you can handle it, maybe. And I'm not saying you go to all places that are bad. I'm just saying,
you know what? And I'm just going to tweak that just a bit. I help out people who have the dark things, because I don't go where the dark things are. Yeah.
Okay. Because I didn't. Yeah, exactly. But you're okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be great with that. So when somebody says I didn't experience COVID because well, that's not a thing. Okay, COVID is fact. It's science. Okay, let's just call a spade a spade. But when it comes to attraction on energies, because we're all energy, and frequencies and all that, I do think that someone like you might have dealings with some kind of darker things than someone who's also got the same gifts as maybe you do, or is a psychic medium that doesn't even see that because they asked not to see it and they don't want to deal with that.
Well, and yes, and well, kind of, because most of my phone calls that are the big bad stuff are people that have nothing to do with the paranormal. And the conversation always starts with, I don't even believe in this, but.
Oh, sure. Oh, well, there's that too.
Yeah, there is that element of you just moved into the wrong house. Yeah.
Yes. Right? I mean, no, totally get that. And that's that gray area again, where, and that's where you have to say, well, anything's possible. And people are like, oh, that really explains it away really fast. Well, yeah, it does. We have to have the explanation. As humans, we want the explanation. We want to know why, right? Well, we're not supposed to know why. And you have to keep yourself out of that box. If you have yourself open to things, and I'm not saying be nuts and crazy and don't make sense about everything and everything's a demon and everything's supernatural and everything's aliens. I'm not saying that.
Right.
But the people that are just so set in their ways and no, I'm right, you're wrong. That's the people that I have an issue with.
Yes. And also, and like I said, I do think the create your reality is a semi thing. In other words, it's a real thing and it really happens. It's like the law of attraction. But I think we can get there's other elements, like when you were saying, this was back to where we started. When I think we are all connected, but if you think about my friend Jeff Thill, if you didn't hear the Jeff Thill episode, everybody go back and listen to it, because he had some great points, which I agree with, which is, I do think, for example, the people we'll talk about on the 411 missing, you can get off track and be lost. And if you look at how big the universe is and the solar systems are, it's like you could see ants building an anthill and hundreds of them working, and one makes it on the other side of something and can't get back in. And that, I think, can happen to people. And I don't mean that like with dimensions or stuff like that. I think sometimes somebody falls out of the system or falls out of alignment and you can get stuck there. Like, I know that, I don't know if I'm describing this correctly, but like, I think sometimes we think there's all this system and then when you die, you go there and it's going to be perfect and you're going to learn that there really wasn't any blah, 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 or whatever. It's all perfect when you get there. There's a small chance that it's not.
Yeah. I do think, and this is just my interpretation of interviewing so many near-death experiencers, because they all have different experiences. One woman was Catholic and she went to hell. And good Catholic girl. And she was like, what the heck is going on? And she figured out, because a friend had died right before she had her near-death experience. And once she figured out it was all in her head, see, it doesn't work that way. And then she was like, oh, okay, that was all because I was indoctrinated into this belief. And I'm not picking on religion. I'm just saying we all have our own preconceived notions of what heaven is. I don't care if you're religious or not.
Right. And also, there are some near-death experiences. Paula Poundstone had one where there was nothing. There was nothing.
Well, that's that velvet void. But I bet you anything, it's a velvet void. And I bet you anything, it still felt very comfortable for her. It's not scary.
No, it
You know?
was I can't remember how she described it, but she was like, "Folks, there's no God and there's no afterlife. It's nothing. There was nothing."
Well, you can't say nothing when nothing exists in her dreams.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? So, right. So, and don't get me wrong, I'm not here to convince anyone who's an atheist and doesn't believe in it. My husband's pretty much that way. And I'm married to him and he grounds me because you can get lost in this stuff. Although he supports me and he loves that I do this. And I think I may have changed his mind on a couple little things. Maybe not. I don't know. And it's okay because I have enough belief for everybody because I don't believe in that Christianity thing. As far as there's a God sitting on a cloud and the harps and, all the things. I don't believe in that part. I do believe I think we're all source. We're all part of source. We are, everything you see in front of you is source, everything. And you are, I am, everything.
Yeah. And I do think there are mistakes.
I mean, I think we have free will, and I think we're human, and I think we're dumbasses.
No, I think there's mistakes in the system. Like
maybe, like I told you, anything's possible, and I don't say no or right, you're wrong or I'm right or you're none of that because that's not fair to anyone. I don't have all the answers. You might absolutely be right. And maybe there isn't anything. And all these people that have these near-death experiences are just experiencing brain, whatever they call it.
Dopamine bumps or something.
Yeah. And they come back and they say this and say that. And they're very certain about everything. And even though they remember their dreams for their whole lives, and I can't remember a dream 2 seconds after I have it. So, so it does give a tiny bit. Plus they can say, hey, I heard what you were saying to me when I was floating above my body. This is what you were doing. And the doctors are like, holy crap, how does she know that?
Right. Yep.
So there's that too. So like I said, I think anything is possible. That should be my middle name at this point because I always say it.
I agree. And it's kind of funny because I started doing all these studies on Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And all of a sudden my algorithm was like every religious belief ever contradicting with this one and that one. And I was like, yeah, there's too much. There's so much. And there's so much that can be right or wrong. And And I was like, yeah, I guess you just have to believe in yourself, which I think a lot of agnostics are really good at.
I agree because, it does, just because I'm not a believer in the actual churchy kind of God doesn't mean I don't believe in source. Doesn't mean I don't believe in the way Jesus taught. I think they would, people that are very evangelical would think he was too woke and he's not, because he hung out with people that they don't want to hang out with, but I don't think Jesus ever wanted to be worshipped either. I don't think that's why he came. I think you're
right on that. I think you're absolutely right on. Yeah.
Anybody like that, that's not their MO. That's why he's so revered. That's why what happened to him happened to him. He was so wonderful. I know I'm over here talking about Jesus.
No, I love it because I was thinking it's what comics always say? The best quote for comics was the Groucho Marx quote. I would never belong to a club that would have me as a member. I bet Jesus says that about Christianity. I never belonged to
no, I mean, it's true. And like I said, I'm not picking on necessarily religion in the way, because I think there's a lot of people that get a lot of good things out of religion and good things come from it.
Well, they don't listen to this podcast. I promise you they're not listening to this podcast.
Right. Yeah, I know. Me neither, and if they are, that's, I'm not here to tear down that belief. I've learned so much by talking to so many incredible people like you, Karen, who have really turned my way of thinking. And I wasn't really, I never went to church. I never did that anyway. So I wasn't really thinking that way, but it made me think of it in a different, more loving, more understandable, and more, to me, credible way of how all this works instead of the way they think it works.
Yeah. And I feel like always being able to go, I don't know, is a key piece that's really missing.
Because I don't know the answer to everything, and I don't, like I said, I don't think we're supposed to. I just don't think we are.
Yeah. I don't know, I think that should go everywhere. I think that should go the I don't know should go everywhere.
Well, it adds validity because people that are a staunch atheist or staunch whatever are the problem.
Right.
in the way that they don't open their minds and say, okay, well, let me hear what you have to say. That's why I have my podcast. That's why you have yours. We talked about this yesterday. I want to learn. And if there's things that Karen and I don't even agree on, but we're cool about it because you know what? I learned something from her, and maybe I'll sway her or she'll sway me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't know.
So yeah, right.
Yes, absolutely. So, and you are like me. We like watching the kind of the fringe or the weirdness that is coming in. You know what I mean?
The weirdness is coming in. I mean, let's be honest, ever since COVID and you know, the Trump, and sorry, I need to be nice, but anyway,
you can say, I let anybody say whatever they want, so you're welcome to.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and listen, I don't want to upset anybody. It's just ever since that, I had a near death. I had a life regression.
That's funny. And, that's a very funny premise, though. We've all had a near death experience since Trump came into office?
We have. We're all waking up. But my higher self, because I went to a past life regression with a hypnotherapist, and my higher self said, we need to thank Trump.
Mm-hmm.
Because he opened up a lot of eyes, and a lot of people really understood what all of this other stuff is about. And I didn't know I said all those things because I was, under. And but there are good things. And I also said in my higher self, we should not have to pay to be human.
What do you think that meant?
It means everybody deserves a warm meal. Everybody deserves a warm bed. Everyone and everybody deserves health care. And regardless, everybody, human right in my mind, everyone deserves that. And that's what I got from it. That I was like, holy crap. And that the aliens are going to make themselves known between 2026 and 2027.
I thought I was talking to Ryan, we were thinking this year, or the government will come out with it. And
yeah, well, they keep doing that. They keep kind of coming out and talking a little bit about it, a little bit more. So they want to scare us, I think, too.
Well, I have a prediction, and when it really comes out, like we're all in agreement, this is there. Like Ryan was saying, how the government was, how they're saying, how do we prepare to say this? They weren't saying, is it or not true? They're saying, how do we prepare to say this? And my thing is, when this comes out, watch all the evangelical preachers, because the real religious people they're not on board with aliens. That's like
I know.
Whether they think they're demons or they think, no, there's only God in us, there are no aliens. So that's going to be a chunk of people that you want to watch. And those leaders, I feel like those church leaders are going to be a big thing in how those people react. And if it's, cults killing themselves or civil war or whatever it is, but watch the religious leaders as soon as that happens.
And you make a good point on that too, because think about it. When or if we do have this alien confirmation and they do introduce themselves, however that happens. Okay, let's just say there's no denying it. There's no, this is fake news, whatever. Everybody knows. Okay, everyone knows. I really, truly want to be there and be as kind as I can to people that are getting their lives ripped inside out.
Yep. Good point.
Because that's not fair to them. I want to try to, because you and I will be the kind of people they will go to and go, holy crap, what's going on? And I want to say, listen, you are still loved. You are still revered. You are still very important to the system. You are still very important to be here. Learn from this. We all have had to learn.
Yeah.
We didn't come out of the womb knowing everything. We go out maybe that way, but we don't come in that way. So
Leslie is going to give you the sweet and loving message, and then you're going to come to me, and I'm going to go, revolution, overthrow all of the government that did this to us, overthrow.
Well, don't be wrong. I'm all about that too. It's just, all these very frightened people that have been taught their whole lives, that my paranormal romance books and my paranormal podcast is of the devil, and that I need to repent and all of the lovely things they love to say to me. And it's not often, but it does happen, even from my family members, and I don't talk to them. So
That's awful.
the people that do that, oh yeah, it's fine. It's not everybody. It's just a couple here and there. But it doesn't matter, because their opinion doesn't matter to me, because I'm not in that world. Meaning, they create that reality for themselves. I've created this reality for myself, but I don't wish any harm on them. I would never wish anything bad. It's just, you don't understand how I understand. And my box is way open. Yours is not. Therefore, I can't be in that box. I'm not going to stay there.
Yeah. And also that's, I guess, how they feel protected.
Yeah. Well, when you give somebody else all the work, think about it. They don't have to do anything. They just have to go and listen to somebody and yawn or sleep through the service and say, oh, I'm forgiven because Jesus died for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Done.
That's hard.
But I need to go home and not be the nice person that supposedly Jesus says I should be, and rape my wife, or be a pedophile, or go into a school and shoot people. I mean, that's what I'm talking about. It's those kinds of things. And boy, I'm getting really crazy here, but
it's not crazy for my podcast, Leslie. That's not crazy for my podcast.
People are going to think I'm so opinionated, and I am, but I don't talk like this on my podcast. I don't.
So then you come do it here. That's what you do here.
It's nice. It's really nice.
I've had people come on and pro-vaccine and anti-vaccine and pro-Russia and pro-Ukraine. I don't know. I've had everybody on. And
that's what I like though about you though, Karen, and that's why and you're like, oh, I know, I agree with you, but I love not agreeing with every single thing some people say, because I can learn. I mean,
now if someone came on and they were pro-Hitler, I might have something to say.
Yeah, well, some of them think it didn't happen. Some of them think the Civil War didn't happen. Some of them think, and I'm like, oh my, and they're taking the books away from the schools, and it's just bad.
I never heard the Civil War didn't happen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The slavery didn't happen. The Holocaust, of course, didn't happen.
I've heard that one.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Slavery didn't happen.
Yeah. They're saying, oh no, they say, okay, let me back up. It's not that it didn't happen, that they were doing them a favor and they were happy to be slaves.
Oh, so that's really right. They had it easy. They had it. Yeah.
They had it. Yeah. We made sure we gave them houses, and they were happy to be slaves.
Then let's switch and see how white people like that. Let's enslave some white people. And you can say thank you for chaining me to the floor.
And doing all kinds of whatever you want, because they were property, but women were property. So all women, regardless. And I just saw a TikTok with you on it about middle-aged white women.
You know what? I have to tell you something. I put that up and that went to 1 million right away.
I can't find it on your page for some reason.
I took it off. It got too much crazy and I thought it went away. And oh no, everyone stitched it. Everyone stitched it.
And girl, you were so good though. You had some amazing, written things. And I was like, holy crap, you go, girl. So, and I was like, I need to go to that and, and put it on or repost it or something. And I couldn't find it. So
well, I feel like even though my podcast is open to the public, I can really be myself here. But that happened on a whim when they really started to hate middle-aged white women. And it was really, for anybody that hasn't seen it, it was just like all the things that women had to overcome to get here.
Yes.
And it wasn't like even Bill Maher did something the other day, and now I've turned him off for good. I hate to be cancelly, but he was like, what? Why are white women depressed? And blah, blah, blah. Why is everyone depressed? Why is this, it's
why are you picking on us?
Somehow the white men pushed it to us or something. I don't know what happened, but it had a lot of jokes in it and it was fine. And it really went far. And I think I put it up 2 years ago. And the other day I was like, you know what? I don't want to really be that. I don't want to be yelling like everybody's yelling on TikTok. And literally I took it down a week ago. And I'm getting email after email because it's made a resurgence, and that comes up on my feed now. And I'm like, I think it's that
4B movement that started in Korea, where all the women there are saying no to relationships. And 4B, I didn't know what that meant. It's It's
no sex, no dating,
yeah,
all that stuff.
and everything's in Korean. Every one of those particular things start with a B.
Yeah, and
So I didn't know all that. Yeah.
And you know what else? And I noticed, and that was the kind of the thing, which was like a hard opinion where people will go at you on both sides is going to get you famous on TikTok. And I thought, I want to go make paranormal videos. I want to make
right.
I don't think this is me, but I swear to God, the minute I took it down, it came up. I was like, okay, I wasn't embarrassed by it because I'm like,
oh no,
okay, it's out there.
Because honestly, it was, and you weren't yelling, and you were actually being pretty kind about it. You were just being very matter of fact. It was just all fact.
It
wasn't anything made up.
No, it wasn't. But someone sent me a video of another woman, and they go, "This woman reminds me of you," and then I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's not what I want to project."
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I wouldn't hang around with that woman. But so I'll stay with my fluff. But yeah, it's funny how it's got a second life somehow. But it got some real. The young girls don't like us. Yeah.
No, a young girl stitched it, and she was like loving what you were saying. I think it had like 90,000 views. I mean, just on her.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think my view, I'll tell you, I went from like 4,000 to 60,000 followers.
Oh, wow.
And then it went down to 58, and I think it's building again. But you know what? And for a minute, I was like, why did I take that down? And then I was like, no, you're going to be doing what you want to do. So don't let followers or likes tell you what to do. So anyways.
Right. Well, it's not like you and I are making money on it, girl.
No. I don't know how you make money off a TikTok account, but hopefully I'll be able to tell you that in the paranormal thing. So, all right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Discover Moon Mama Shop, an inspiring metaphysical enterprise rooted in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Founded by Kenzie, a gifted 5/1 projector in human design, this burgeoning business is a testament to her innate ability to read people. Specializing in Reiki, tarot, and oracle readings, Kenzie brings profound insight and healing to her clients. Certified in Holy Fire Reiki 1 and 2, Kenzie is on her journey towards mastering this transformative practice. Whether you're in Grand Rapids or beyond, experience the soothing energy of her home studio for in-person sessions, or opt for virtual sessions for the same immersive experience from the comfort of your own home. Kenzie's approach is deeply trauma-informed, drawing from her own healing journey to create a safe space for others to release energy blockages and realign their chakras. Each session includes a personalized written report detailing her findings and intuitive messages received. For those seeking guidance through tarot or oracle readings, Kenzie offers convenient email consultations, allowing you to revisit the messages over time. Explore her offerings and pricing at moonmamashop.com. And stay connected on Instagram and TikTok at Moon Mama Shop.
Okay, so you and I watch the fringes of TikTok.
Yeah.
And we love, first of all, I love new converts, people that had something happen that are in. But what are some of the things that you love that I'm not going to give TikTok an ad. I'm going to say, what are some of the wonderful things that you've learned anywhere where people coming in from the fringes?
Well, I don't, tell me yours, and then I'll see if we're on the same page, because I'm not sure exactly where we're going.
Okay. So, well, there's a weird one, because you were talking about how like Dolores Cannon didn't really know what she was getting into, but this is even on a different train of thought, whatever. Leslie and I are talking about things we like. That's what we're talking about. I think it's funny now that the other day I was watching this one girl that was talking about that Kate Midland is a clone, and I'm watching it, and I can go really far, and I didn't question it at all, and I didn't say yes or no, but I think that's where we're at. Like someone talking about clones now, it's not being turned off, it's not eye rolling. You're just going, I'll make a note and see if I meet a clone.
It's like nothing surprises me anymore, though. I mean, because she does have a lookalike. Apparently, she literally has a stand-in lookalike.
Mm-hmm.
And so when people see her walking around that doesn't look like her stance, I get it. Now, I'm not a conspiracy theorist either. Not really. But I do say what I think when I see something and I'm like, is that really her? I'm in the middle. I'm not sure.
You're a
I'm not sure.
conspiracy open to it possibility person.
I am, because, like I said, because conspiracy theorists, a lot of times they're the people that are not liking me or my paranormalness, so they go the other way. And so I really look closely to things, and I make sure that I make my own evaluation, but I don't always say I'm right. I just say, in my, it doesn't resonate, or it does resonate with me.
Right.
Yeah. But as far as, like, we were talking about things that go crazy, because I do follow a lot of, like, Dolores Cannon stuff. And we were talking about just some crazy stuff that I remember hearing about her stuff. And I told you earlier, she was just going to hypnotize people. She wanted to do that as a profession. She was a psychologist. And so she got her certificate, and she started hypnotizing people to help them stop smoking or whatever. And so when she started hypnotizing them, a lot of times they'd go into, she'd say, well, listen, where are you? What's trying to get to the root of the problem of why you have an addiction? They'd go into a life that wasn't the life they have now, and they're a different sex, or they're a different whatever, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, what? And this is like happening in the 60s. And she's like, what is going on? So she started doing it over and over. All these people were regressing into different lives. And it was just so crazy. And then, but it was so crazy. In her Convoluted Universe book, I believe, she talks about people saying, you have to come to this earth first. They don't just let you be human first. You have to start out as a plant, or air, or a rock, which would be so disappointing, for centuries being a rock, or a tree, or whatever. And then you understand, and you have that feeling of, oh, I love the trees. Oh, I love the insects. Oh, I love the animals. Because you have a reference for them, because you were one, maybe in some life, because that oversoul, the creator, or I'm sorry, not the creator, but your oversoul, your higher self, is made up of all your lives, right? So it makes sense. So that, to me, is so interesting. And I really resonate with that, because I do think that probably is very something that happens.
You know what? There's an interesting about animals, because some animal communicators will feel like the animals are smarter than us, or have the message for us, or are here to teach us lessons.
Yeah.
And so if they're lower on the totem pole but higher than plants, then you get to be a human, and then you have to be into complications. Humans are all about complicating that. It's just about love. So I wonder if animal communicators would say animals are above us, or, I mean, it's hard to put a system, but would you be an animal then a human, or would it go the opposite?
I agree with you. I totally see what you mean. And because animals are so far beyond our
they don't hold
bullshit.
A grudge. Yes.
No. I mean, it really is true. And so when they are here, they don't have to speak a word as far as English to us. And we understand when they're sick, or when they're lonely, or when they're hungry, or whatever. And all they want is just your attention and your love. You are their most important champion in their whole life.
Right.
And I love that about animals. And honestly, it's about every animal. It just depends on if they live in your bed or not, so.
Well, you know what else is interesting about that? And I'm going to throw this out there. If for some reason we just disappear, it's because my battery ran out. But I think we're fine to finish this last 10 minutes. But that's such a thing about my podcast. People are like, yeah, sometimes it ends in the middle and she just doesn't fix it. Or they're swearing and she just doesn't fix it. It's interesting, first of all, how human animals are becoming, including you see people that ended up adopting a bear, or a squirrel, or a raccoon, and those animals that we don't think could be domesticated. And all of a sudden on TikTok, you see that person lives with I think a snake can't be domesticized,
right, right.
Those are ones that can turn pretty quick, but a lot of other animals, a deer, someone had a deer that lived with their dogs.
Oh yeah. And especially when they're, from birth, I mean, they don't know anything but being with you if you have that. But, we're thinking about getting feral cats for our barn, because, there's just field mice that can get into your things and all that. You don't want them destroying. And so kind of survival of the fittest. But, I worried about the cats and I'm like, well, what if we don't, we have to go and, and I worry about all that. So it's funny how it goes both ways where I care so much that I don't want to have to worry about caring. Does that make sense?
Right. And then there's that other part of, I care about a dog or the neighbor's dog or cat, but I will put and I don't know if it's the right thing to do. I'll put a stink bug out in the snow in a second. I feel like I'm doing them a favor by moving them out of the house onto the patio. And then I'm like,
but think about it. You know how you, but but think about it. It's almost like you're being like a guide to them. Like, how our guides kind of give us intuition on, they're making us kind of go certain places. You're just being like a physical guide to them and going, don't come over here. Just go away.
That's a good way to think about it.
I'm the wrong turn. I'm the wrong house.
Okay. Good, because and then I'm like, I guess they live inside, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Maybe not all dogs. But you mean other things?
Stink bugs. Stink bugs.
Oh, stink bugs.
No, dogs I would not put outside because there was I'm not even going to talk about that. That's an awful image I'm going to leave people with. But no, if there's a dog, if I see a dog on the loose, I will delay every show, everything to find the owner and then yell at them and find out why their dog was out loose, especially here in the snow. How cold it gets here was ridiculous. But
so you're saying you'll take care of the insects. I thought you meant I'll put stink bugs out to keep the dogs away so they don't come to my house because I don't want to worry about them.
No, I'll take anybody's dog in my house. No, I get there'll be a stink bug in my kitchen, and then I'll go through every effort not to kill it and put it outside, and then I come out and I go, that froze to death. What am I doing? He just froze to death. Why didn't I just kill him or whatever?
Yeah, but you give it a couple more minutes. Listen, the only thing that I will kill, I won't kill because I can't stand it, but I will go in when there's June bugs. I can't stand June bugs.
Oh, June bugs. Oh, those are the big beetles, right?
And they fly and they stick to your hair. No, thank you. No. And they're prevalent right now in Texas, and I don't like them. Don't get me wrong. I don't like a lot of bugs, but grasshoppers will just drop, they just get right off me, wasps, they stay away, all the things, and even mosquitoes. Okay. I get a bite here and there. June bugs, they don't know what they're doing. And I don't even understand the purpose. Okay. Let's just keep the bees. We'll keep the bees and we'll keep the things that we really need. But why do we have all these crazy insects? That's what, and the locusts that are coming, what? We're having that, and the big locust thing or the cicada thing are coming.
Okay. I hate that. Now you hit my trigger because I have moved into 3 houses that were, infested with crickets. And let me tell you about crickets. I'm going to tell you about crickets and snails. I know we got into some weird bug talk, but that's okay. Crickets will eat anything. They will eat carpet. They will eat wall. You can't kill them. Like I was like, I'm going away for 2 weeks. I'm just going to lock the door and these guys will not be able to get out of this room. Oh no, they were fat and happy when I got back. And I mean, to where they're everywhere and you can't shut them up at night. So I've had that twice. And somebody was like, crickets, the landlord was like, crickets don't infest houses. And then he was like, oh, I guess they do. But you can't really get rid of them. And I hate them. Yeah. And I don't trust anybody whose knees bend backwards. That goes praying mantis, anything. I don't like that.
Right.
And
I know.
We used to have the big water bugs, which are gross, like giant roaches.
But they fly. Yeah.
Those don't fly. In California, those don't fly, but they run across. One ran across my neck while I was in bed. But so we would have snails in California, and after you water the lawn, and sometimes you step on them and by mistake, and they'd squish and crack the thing. And then one day my neighbor goes, "Did you ever notice after you step on one, it's not there in the morning? Snails are cannibals."
What?
If you step on a snail, the other snails will eat it.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, you are feeding the neighborhood. There's, some people just have to be sacrificed. Okay.
Right. But at least, they do have their own ecosystem. I'll give them that.
Yeah, let's call a spade a good spade, right? That's a good thing, right?
Yes. We had the big that and we had a lot of black widows in my place, but the brown, I think the brown recluse is the one you should be worried about, but I don't know.
And well, the black widow is pretty bad too. They're very
Yes.
poisonous. So yeah, you got to be careful of those. And listen to us, insect talk. See, you never know what you're going to get with me, girl.
I know, but you were back on Dolores Cannon and how she came up with this new way of doing things by mistake.
Yeah, she really did. She really, truly, she had no idea anything about the paranormal. She didn't, that was not on her radar. And all of a sudden, these people are saying these things. So she's like, I got to write a book. I got to write this down. And when she got permission to tell the stories, people started taking notice. And then people would be like, wait a minute, I felt that way. And I had that dream. And oh, wait, I had this particular thing happen to me. And then all of a sudden, things started happening. Ergo the collective of understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I mean? When you start hearing those type of words, she was helpful in making us understand that we are all connected.
Mm-hmm. 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 And also, didn't she do a lot with a guy? She met someone that was like Nostradamus' assistant, and then the person didn't want anything to do with it. And
no, it was actually Nostradamus. See, and because she hypnotized somebody who was his apprentice, I believe, or something like that.
Yes, and he was a real jerk.
And I don't remember that part. I'm sure it happened, but I think I was so mesmerized with the fact that she was talking to Nostradamus. And what happened was, because in my mind, everything's happening right now. Like Nostradamus is existing just in a different time zone than we are. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying zone for a reason, a whole different time zone, whatever. So if we were to go back and hypnotize or whatever, and somebody says, hey, I worked with him, and she communicated with him and said, hi, I'm from such and such time. And he says, well, I'm alive. I'm not dead. I don't know what you're talking about. And she'd say, well, tell me more about your time. And he'd say, well, this is going to happen. And she'd say, well, this did happen. Hitler did happen, because he talked about that. So, and it was just so crazy. But to me, we don't have past lives. We just have lives ongoing. Karen is also Karen 2.0 somewhere else. You might be Baron. You might be a man 2.0. You might be a rock somewhere. That'd be fun. So.
Yes. We're very focused on rocks and bugs today.
We are very focused on rocks and bugs, but it makes sense though. It just makes sense that we would have to understand how the world and the universe works before we come into this life completely blinded, especially if we were maybe another, not human, but another life form before here, because we're not the only people in this universe, in this galaxy. No one is. And I'm a firm believer, and there's a lot more out there than we can ever fathom. And we'll never know all the answers, but I do think we're probably going to have contact. I do.
Yes. And the last thing, I once talked about this with Mark was on, anyway, somebody was on my podcast, and we talked about how there's a trickster spirit that once you figure it out, the trickster spirit comes in and changes it.
I completely believe, and I don't even know if it's a spirit. I think it's also it's a frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do think that we are slammed at so many, because you and I are going through so many different frequencies right now.
Yes,
and that's why I think we have the Mandela effect, because it's constant, and because it's constant, what you said or what I said, you may not remember what I said or what you said on my podcast, and vice versa. But when you go back to it, you can remember. But sometimes you can't.
Yeah.
And that's that effect. So it's, to me, that's so fringy. I know that's so crazy, but it's very interesting to me. Absolutely.
Oh, this is a podcast for, it's also, I wonder if, I'm going to sneeze. Hold on.
Okay.
Oh,
bless you.
I need an editor. I have a producer, but I'd never ask him to edit out anything like that, because then he'd have to listen to the podcast. And I don't know if Mike's a paranormal guy, but I don't want to lose him, so I want him to stay.
Right.
Maybe AI is the trickster, that when we figure it out, AI is the one that makes us go, is that real or is it fake?
Well, maybe AI is really just aliens.
Mm-hmm.
Because, think about it. AI, to my knowledge, they're not sentient yet.
Yes.
So,
Are
and
they?
AI and well, maybe, but aliens, they can read minds. They can probe. They can do all kinds of things. They've been watching us for eons.
See,
they know us in and out.
I think AI is an algorithm running in our brains right now. I think it's in our heads.
But I don't know if it's AI, because AI is a computer thing. I do think it,
Well, and then you and I think have also had this discussion of, is our angels AI? Is if everything's a program, which I think everything in the universe breaks down to a mathematical program or a
people
something.
People say when they go near death experiences, they're like, we're like in a simulation. We're like in a play. This is just literally, just it's mapping out, what you experience. It's not even learning lessons. It's more about, how did Karen experience? How did Leslie experience it?
Right.
And that's truly what we will learn. Yeah.
And what we move out of, like this brain can't comprehend something that if we just have the faith in our intuition, the intuition can. And then at the next level, you get the mathematical program for what intuition was, or something like that. Like my teacher always said, tarot is about memory, and that's it, seeing patterns in memory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think she's right. And I think my battery's flashing, but we made it, Leslie.
I know we did it. These poor people, they're never going to listen to our podcast after this.
No, you can't get weird enough for my people. The only thing where people really put their foot down was a flat earther. And he kind of, and he was very nice, but the guest that comes on with an agenda, and it's usually a speaker or someone I don't know, that's right. Even my listeners are like, there isn't a fun here. There isn't an interaction, and they can smell it.
Right.
So,
right. Exactly. So, but flat earth. No, there's right. Too many proven facts against that. Gravity alone would dispel flat
right.
earth. So
or maybe it was the wrong person bringing the theory, but it didn't go.
Right.
It didn't.
Right. Well, but I applaud you for bringing people on that have different opinions than your own, because you're only going to learn, whether it's good or bad. You're only going to learn.
Yeah. There has to be, this is what I'm learning. There has to be a fun factor. If there isn't a fun factor, I feel it halfway through the podcast, and I'm like, I don't like this one. But anyway,
yeah, exactly. But then you just say, I know you got to go. So tell us where we can find you.
I know. Did I tell you the podcast is only 40 minutes? Okay. No, actually, sometimes I am. I am doing more 40-minute, because I did a couple of those, and I don't want to insult those guys. I did a couple of 40-minute podcasts, and I'm going to do more of those, so I can put the Patreon podcast at the end and promote the Patreon.
Nice.
So maybe somebody out there wants to do a 40-minute. But Leslie, the podcast is called Because I Want to Know. Right?
Yes, it's called Because I Wanna, WANNA, Because I Want to Know. And you can find it on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. I do have 5 paranormal romance novels on Amazon. There's actually 7, but there's 2 that I wrote with another co-author, and they're all paranormal romances. And and I actually do home decor on my TikTok, because I'm crazy like that.
Oh, so there you go. That's okay. That explains. Okay, got it. Wonderful. All right. I'll tell you that off the air. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks to Mike at Uno Rising Media. Everyone have a great day.
Paranormal Karen, she's a spooky kind of queen. Paranormal Karen, she's an angel without wings. Comedian, ghost hunter, conscious exploring. She's a funny gal and a real woo pal. She's